This conference will now be recorded.
Right, let's start. So today we'll start with dictionary objects. So far we have discussed what repository objects. Repository objects means the objects which exist in the form of instructions. Okay, so we can classify these objects into two types. One is what repository objects and what dictionary objects. So if you take repository objects, what are the repository objects we have seen so far? Executable programs. Okay, we discussed about include programs. Okay, we discussed about subroutine pool, function group. Okay, so all these things comes under what repository object. Okay, going forward we'll be discussing what module pool, programs. Okay, type pool. Okay, class pool, interface pool. All this comes under what? Repository objects, right? And coming to dictionary objects, we have different dictionary objects like we have tables, views, okay, structures, data elements, domains, table types, search helps, type group, lock objects. All these things are called as what? Dictionary objects. Okay, dictionary objects. Okay, right. So to create and maintain this dictionary objects, okay, to create and maintain this dictionary objects, or I'll call them as database objects. To create and maintain these dictionary objects, we use a tool called as what? Abap dictionary. Okay, Abap dictionary. The T code for this is what? SC11. Okay, so Abap dictionary is a tool used for creating and maintaining what? This dictionary objects. We use this SC11 for creating and maintaining the dictionary objects. So these dictionary objects, I can call them nothing but as what? Database objects. Nothing but database objects. Okay. So sorry. So we know SAP is a ERP software. Okay, SAP is a ERP software. So the main agenda of any ERP is what? To integrate what? All the departments within the company so that all the business transactions are efficiently performed. Okay, we can exchange the data between the departments. Okay, the main aim of any ERP product is to integrate all the departments within the organization, which will lead to what? Which will lead to what? Uh, organization profits. Okay, so as part of different departments, okay, we'll be performing different business transactions. Sales department, you'll have some transactions. Finance department, you'll have what? Some transactions. Okay, uh, department, you'll have some transactions. So all these transactions are provided by what? SAP itself. So something like this, try to understand. Suppose, one second. Yeah, try to understand this. Suppose this is what, some finance department. Okay, finance department. This is sales department. Okay, this is department. Like that, assume that in an organization we'll have what different departments. So try to understand, this is sales department, and this is something finance department, and this is something what, material department, material management department. Like this, we have different departments in a company. So related to each department, okay, related to each department, you'll have what, some transactions. Okay, so here assume that related to the sales department, you'll have one transaction. Okay, yeah, you'll have one transaction, you assume. Okay, I'll put it like this. You'll have one transaction. You may have n number of what, transactions. You may have n number of transactions. Related to finance department also, you may have what, n number of transactions. Am I clear? This is department. Here also I may have n number of what, transactions. So assume that this is transaction 1. Okay, this is a transaction 2. Okay, this is a transaction 3. Like this, every department will contain what, one or more transactions. So what do you mean by transaction? First of all, suppose withdrawing an amount from an ATM is what, a transaction. Okay, depositing the amount into the account is also a transaction. Opening the account is also a transaction. So to perform any transaction, I need to navigate from one screen to what, another screen. Suppose if you want to withdraw an amount from an ATM, it is not possible that we can do it in one screen. You have to navigate across what, many screens. Am I clear? Like suppose initially you'll insert the card, it will ask you for the card number. Okay, that is screen 1. If it is a valid if it is a valid PIN number, right, you'll get the next screen with option like checkbook request, balance inquiry, cash withdrawal, like that. If I choose cash withdrawal, I'll get the next screen. Enter the amount to withdraw. I'll enter the amount. Okay, I may get the next screen like a savings account or what, current account. So to perform a simple transaction, the user has to navigate from what, one screen to another screen, one screen to another screen. So here also try to understand. So assume that we have a transaction like XD01, XD01. So here you'll have one screen. Okay, you'll have that single transaction only might contain what, n number of what, screens. Like this, a transaction might contain what, one or more screens. A transaction might contain one or more screens. So user has to navigate from what, one screen to another screen. For example, assume that, suppose I'll take this example, a very simple example. I'll put it like this. One second, please. Suppose in SAP, I'm having a T code like MM01. Okay, I'm having a T code called as MM01. What is this MM01? Material creation. In every business, you'll have what? Materials. Okay, so I want to create a material. Suppose I assume that Gensoft is also one business. Okay, so related to Gensoft is a training business. Okay, so what are the materials here? Different courses, we call it as what, material. Core Abap is one material. Oops Abap is another material. Cross Apps is another material. UI for front end is another material. UI for back end, Abap and workflow, like that. Like that, you'll have what, n number of what, courses. So here every business contains what, material. So we have a transaction called as what, mm01, related to what, department. We have a transaction mm01. This mm01 transaction might contain what, one or more screens. Okay, this is one screen. Am I clear? This is another screen. Okay, like this, the user has to enter the data in what, multiple screens for creating a simple material. Okay, so assume that this is screen 1. Okay, this is screen 2. Okay, this is screen 3. Like that, user has to navigate from what, one screen to another screen. Okay, so like this, he has to navigate from one screen to another screen. In each of the screens will capture what, some data. Understood? So we have a T code called as what, mm01. What is the purpose of this T code? To create the what, material. To create the material, we use this particular transaction code. So this is mm01, you assume. mm01 is a material. So in each of these screens, we'll capture some data. Whatever the data we capture, whatever the data we capture in these screens, that data has to be stored somewhere. Na? So you'll have what, a database. Okay, you'll have the database layer. Okay, this is your database server. In this database server, you'll have what, n number of tables. So assume that this is your what, database server. In this database server, you'll have different tables. Okay, related to material, you may have some tables. Okay, related to material only, we may have what, n number of tables. We may have n number of tables. Okay, this is a database server. In this database server, you will have what, many database tables. So this is database table 1, database table 2. Okay, like this, database server will have what, n number of what, tables. So related to Mara, or sorry, related to material, SAP will provide some tables. Like assume that we have a table like Mara table. You'll understand all these things. We have a table called as MAKT table. We have a table like MARC table. Okay, you'll have a table like MARD table. Like that, related to material only, we may have what, many tables. Okay, similarly, here sales department also will have some transactions. Each transaction will have what, one or more screens. In each screen will capture the data. So what I'm trying to show here is, so this is your database server which contains what, n number of tables. So how do you maintain the data in these tables means, the data in these tables we will maintain through this particular transaction. So assume that these are all the standard tables given by what, SAP. So whenever we install SAP software, whenever we set up the SAP software, by default there are many tables given by SAP itself. Just like we have seen last 2 days back, there are many predefined function modules given by what, SAP. One of the function module we use what, pop up to what, inform. Okay, like that we have thousands and lakhs of function models. Similarly, you will have what, n number of database tables given by SAP. Okay, what is the purpose of a database table? To store the data what, permanently. So earlier we have seen what, internal tables. No? Internal tables we are creating within the program. Whenever we execute the program, internal table gets created. We can store some data in the internal table. We can process the data according to our requirement. Once a program execution is finished, the memory allocated for the internal table will be what, destroyed. Understood? The memory allocated for the internal table will be destroyed. Similarly, we have what, database tables. The difference between internal tables and database tables is, internal table gets created in the runtime during program execution. Whenever we start the program execution, the internal table gets created. Once a program execution is finished, the internal table will be destroyed. So whatever the data is there in the internal table is temporary. It is available only during program execution, whereas database tables are permanent. The data stored in the database tables will be permanent. Whenever you want, we can retrieve. Whenever we want, we can modify, we can delete. So the database tables will be stored in the database server, whereas internal tables gets created during the program execution, where the program gets executed in the application server. Okay, we have application server and we have what database server. Database server contains database tables for storing the data permanently. Application server is the one where your program gets executed. Okay, during the program execution, some temporary table gets created called as what internal table. The lifetime of the internal table is only during the program execution, whereas the lifetime of the database table is permanent. As long as you don't delete it, it will be permanent. It will be residing in what? Database server. So why we are talking about this database tables is, as part of this SAP system, okay, as part of this SAP software, ERP software, there are many predefined transactions given by what? SAP. Okay, what is a transaction? A transaction is a collection of what? One or more screens. A transaction is a collection of one or more screens where we can capture some data. Whatever the data we capture in those transactions, that data will be stored in the database table. So we have many predefined transactions given by what? SAP. Okay. So SAP is a ERP product. So as part of this SAP software, there are many predefined transactions, predefined transactions provided by what? SAP itself. Okay. What are those predefined? How many transactions means? You'll have hundreds and thousands. Related to sales department, we may have some 100 transactions. Related to finance department, you may have some n number of transactions. Like that, module wise, department wise, we may have what? N number of transactions. So if I know SAP SD module, assume that if I know SAP SD model, so I'm called as what? SD consultant. So I'm expected to know the important transactions related to what? SD model. If I'm projecting myself as a FICO consultant, means I know SAP FICO module. So I am expected to know the important transactions related to what? FICO model. Similarly, consultant is expected to know the important T codes related to what? Module. As an ABAP consultant, we use ABAP programming for developing the objects. No? So for developing objects, we require different tools, right? Already we have seen some tools like ABAP editor for developing the reports, function builder for developing the function models, object navigator for creating the function group, right? These are the three tools we have used so far. What are they? ABAP editor, function builder, object navigator. So whatever we use as an ABAP consultant, we call them as what? Tools. Related to functional models, we call them as what? Transactions. So we have many transactions given by what? SAP. Okay, there are many transactions given by SAP. Okay, what are the examples? We have a transaction like XD01 for creating the customer. Whenever a new customer joins a business, we can create the customer data. We can create the customer data by using a T code what? XD01. Suppose Gensoft Technologies. Okay, so in Gensoft Technologies, we'll conduct what? Different courses. Suppose whenever a new course, sorry, whenever a new student registers for a course, what we'll do? We'll collect that particular student information like student name, student mobile number, course enrolled for, fees paid, okay, from which country, like that we'll capture some data. Understood? So the why we capture the data? For future promotions. Okay, similarly, in every business, we'll create what? Customers. Every business contains what? Customers. The customers data is stored, is created by using which T code? XD01. Okay. Every business contain vendors, suppliers. So that vendor is created by using what? XK01. Okay. Every business contains what material. Material is created by using what MM01. Okay, and every business we have to create what sales order document, purchase order document, okay, billing document, like that. We have a different what business transactions. So we have VA01 for creating the sales order, okay, ME21 for creating the purchase order, okay. Like this, there are many predefined transactions given by SAP. What do you mean by transaction? A transaction is a collection of what? One or more screens. So why we are talking about this is, so there are many predefined transactions provided by SAP. Similarly, there are many predefined tables. There are many predefined database tables provided by what? SAP. Understood? Just like we have predefined reports, we have predefined function models. There are predefined database tables provided by SAP. Like we have a table like KN1 table, we have a table like KNBK table, LFA1 table, okay, LFBK table, okay. We have a table like VBAK table, VBAP table, EKKO table, EKPO table, VBRK table, VBRP table, MARA table, MAKT table, okay, MARC table. Understood? We have a table TFDR, TADR, like this. Like this, we have many database tables provided by whom? SAP itself. What is the meaning of database table? What is the purpose of database table? To store the data what? Permanently. We use what? Database tables. So in every business will capture the data. Understood? So what are the data we capture? It has to be stored in some place, no? Where do we store it? In the database tables. So there are many predefined tables given by what? SAP. So where we can see the tables? Observe here. I need to re-log in. Right. So far, what are the T codes we have used in the last 1 month? SC38 for developing the reports, ABAP editor, right? SC37 for developing what? Function models, okay? SC80 for creating what? Function group, I used what? Object navigator, SC80. And if you have practiced, we created the T codes for one of the report program. I created the T code, right? So SC93 for creating the custom T code. We have used SC93. I believe these are the 4 transaction codes which we have used so far. Similarly, we have a T code called as what? SC11. SC11 is a T code for what? ABAP dictionary. ABAP dictionary is a tool used for creating and managing what? Dictionary objects. So if you go to SC11, what are the list we are able to see here? These are all called as what? Dictionary objects, nothing but what? Database objects. Database objects. So as I told you, there are many predefined tables provided by SAP. So let me take a table like KN1. Okay, you can see here, since this is the standard table given by SAP, it is not starting with Z or Y. If you create our custom tables, we'll start with Z or Y. Just like if you are creating the custom report, we'll start with Z or Y. If you are creating a custom function model, we are starting with Z or Y. So all the customer specific objects will start with what? Z or Y. So these are the standard table. So let me open a table called as what? KN1. So I'll choose the radio button database table. Those who already know ABAP, they may feel bored, but just try to understand this is the base for the next 1 week to 10 days. So I'll give the table name what? KN1. What is the table name? KN1. This is a standard table given by whom? By SAP. This is a standard table given by SAP. Internal table is a collection of fields. No? In an internal table, we used to create some employee internal tables like employee number, employee name, designation. Similarly, a database table also is a collection of what? Fields. I'll try to open this one of the standard table in change mode. In change mode. Okay. It is asking for what? Access key. So what is the meaning? I cannot modify the standard tables given by SAP. I can only open it in what? Display mode, read only mode. Okay. So if I click on display, it opens that in what? Display mode. Let me go back. Here only I can click on display. It opens that particular table in what? Display mode. Okay. So how many tables are there in SAP means thousands and lakhs of tables. Okay. So we have a table like DD02L, DD02L, DD02L. Okay. If I display, what is the description they gave here? SAP table. So all the SAP tables information is stored in this particular table called as DD02L. DD02L. Let me check how many records are there. A table contains rows, records. On the application toolbar, we have a button called as contents. This is called the application toolbar. I'll click on contents. Yeah, number of entries. How many are there? 6,05,774 tables are there. In this my server, I'm having these many tables, which includes both standard tables as well as what? Custom tables. Custom tables means what? It start with a Z, no? So you can see there is a field called as tab name. Nothing but if you go back, there's a field called as what? Tab name. What is this? Table name. So if I go to contents, I'll give something Z star. Z star. I want to check all the tables starting with Z star. Z star. So if I click on number of entries, how many are there? 3062 custom tables are there. I'll give Y star. Number of entries. How many are there? 1110. So 3062 plus 1110, around 4200. But the rest of the tables are what? Standard tables. Can we remember those tables? You cannot remember. So what I am trying to convey here is SAP contains what? Different modules. SAP SD, SAP MM, SAP HR, like that. So depending on your background, suppose if you are from SAP SD background, I'm expected to remember all the important transactions, all the important tables related to SD model. If I'm a SAP FICO consultant, I'm expected to know the important T codes and the tables related to FICO model. If I'm a SAP MM consultant, I'm expected to know all that important T codes and tables related to MM module. Okay. So here one of the table is what? KN1 table. Okay. So if I go to this SAP DD02L, it contains all the SAP tables. If I go to contents, I'll give the table name as KN1. Let me check. It will show here. I'll click on execute. Yes, it is showing you that particular KN1 table, which is a transparent table. So what is transparent, pooled, and cluster? We'll see later on. If you remember 1 week or 10 days back, we discussed types of internal tables: standard internal table, sorted internal table, hashed internal table. Similarly, database tables are also classified into transparent tables, pooled tables, and cluster tables. So if you go back here, this this DD012 table is what? Transparent table. Okay. So let me go back here. I'll choose KN1, or let me go to DD012 only first. So we have seen that this table contains all the SAP tables. If I go to contents, let me check for Mara table, material master, execute. Yes, we have the table what? Mara. So all the tables information is stored in what? DD012. Am I clear? So if I open KN1 table, if I display what is saying here, transparent table. Okay, if I open Mara table, if I display F7 or click on display button, what is this table here? Transparent table. Okay, I'll give LF1. To go inside, I can press F7 or click on display button. F7 is a shortcut, right? What is this table here? Transparent table. Okay, I'll go to a table like VBAK table, display. What is this table? Transparent table. So what I'm trying to convey here is 99.999% as an ABAP consultant or as a functional consultant, we always use what? Transparent tables. Okay, we never use pooled and cluster tables. What is the difference between transparent, pooled, and cluster? We'll understand later on, but always will work with what? Transparent tables. So what is the meaning of transparent also we'll understand going forward. So all the tables whatever I'm showing now, those are what? Transparent tables. Okay, right. So what I'm trying to show is, if I go to KN1 table, what is the purpose of this table? If I display, observe this carefully. What is this? General data in what? Customer master. General data in customer master. So every database table in SAP system, every database table in SAP system will have minimum one primary key field. What is the meaning of primary key field? Which doesn't accept what? Duplicate values. Suppose, assume that I want to create a table for storing the employee data of a company, right? So we have to analyze what fields you have to create. I want to create employee number, employee name, employee designation, employee salary, employee department number, employee department, like that. I'll do some analysis, I'll create the table. In that table, we have n number of fields. In that n number of fields, we have to decide which field you have to make it as primary key. What is the concept of primary key field? Which doesn't accept what? Duplicate values. So if you want to capture the employee data, generally which field will make it as a primary key field? Employee number, na? Because employee number will be different for each employee. I cannot make employee name as primary key because two employees might contain same name. So logically it is not correct. So I'll make employee number as what? Primary key field. So what I'm trying to say is, in SAP, every table will have minimum one primary key. So if you see this KN1 table, try to understand. There is a column. How many fields are there in this KN1 table? Around 209 fields. We call them as fields or what? Columns. Fields are columns. Okay. So how many primary key fields are there? Two primary key fields. One is MANDT, another is KNR. These two checkboxes are selected. What is the purpose of this MANDT field? It stores the client number. We know in SAP, a client is a three-digit number ranging from 000 to 999. So far, we have logged into what? We are logged into what? 800 client. We are working in which client? 800 client. Okay, development client will have some number, quality client will have some number, production client will have some number. So this field will store what? Client number. Understood? And what is the other primary key field here? KUNR is also primary key field. What is this? Customer number. How do we identify each customer in a business? Based on the customer number, na? So here they gave it as character of what? 10. Okay, so this fields will not have the duplicate, the combination. It will check for the combination. So this table has got how many fields? 209 fields. So what SAP will do is, along with this table definition, along with this table definition, SAP will provide some sample data also. So how do you check that data? If I click on the contents button on the application toolbar, how many records are there? Around 19,605 records. When I click on the execute button on the application toolbar, it will show me the first 200 records. I can change this value. If I say 400, it will show the first 400 records. So when I execute, it is showing you that. So you can see here, for every record, what is the client number here? 800. Client number is repeating. Even though it is a primary key field, it is repeating because we have two primary key fields. It checks a combination. So 800, what is the customer number? Cust-C02. 800 Cust-C03. So this combination will be unique. It will not be duplicate. Understood? So don't check individual field. There are two primary key fields. So the duplication is made based on the combination. So even though this column value is repeating, it is 800 only for every record. This is different. Na? So see the combination here. So the point you have to understand is, every table will contain what? Every table will contain what? Primary key columns, minimum one primary key column. So what I want to convey is, let us take this table. What is the table? Yes, K1 table. Around how many fields are there in this table? Yes, around 209 fields are there. 209 fields, or it may not be 209 actually, because what it will do is, it will count this include also. If you observe this K11 table, dot include is in this is not considered as a field, but it will still count this also as one field. That's why it is showing the count as 209. You may not have 209 fields. I may have around 190 plus fields because we may have multiple dot includes. If I say page down, I'm saying page down, scroll down. Yeah, here also you can see we have dot include. This is also considered as one field. So assume that we are dot append is also not a field here. Dot append dot include. So around 200 fields are there, you assume, but I'll put it as 209 fields or it called as columns. Done. Now observe this. How many records are there in this table? This is the data. This is the test data given by whom? SAP itself. How many records are there? Around 19,605 records are there. 19,605 records. I call it as what? Rows. So what is the summary so far? As part of this SAP ERP software, there are many predefined tables provided by SAP. Okay, and each table will contain what? N number of columns, and in this table SAP itself will provide some test data. So this is a table K11. Now what is my requirement now? Assume that a new customer joins my business. A new customer joins my business. I need to capture that customer record now. So how do you capture? As I told you, there are some predefined transactions provided by what? SAP. So to create a customer record, we use a T code what? XD01. Understood? XD01 is a T code provided by what? T code provided by SAP. SAP for creating what? Customer. For creating the customer. So what is my requirement now? I want to create a new customer. So what is the T code I have to use? XD01. So as an ABAP consultant, I don't know how to use this particular T code XD01. So we have to take the help of functional consultant, because functional consultant is a one who knows how the business works, who knows how the SAP software works, who knows how to use this particular T code. Understood? Because they are related to functional. So if I am not aware of how to use this T code, we have to sit with the functional consultant to understand what are the minimum fields I need to provide in order to create a customer. So I need to know how to navigate from one screen to another screen. So what I'll do now is I will run the T code called as XD01. What is the purpose of this XD01? For creating what? Customer. So as I told you, a transaction might contain one or more screens. Na? I need to navigate from one screen to another screen. In each screen, I will enter some data. In the final screen, I'll save it. Whenever I save it, the data should come and sit in what? Corresponding table. Okay, right. So what I'll do now is, okay, yeah. So what is the table I'm talking about? K11. What is the purpose of this K11 table? Yes, general data and what? Customer master. Similarly, let me open another table. I'll open another table. One second. Yeah, I'll open another table like I'll go to ABAP dictionary. KNBK table. KNBK. Okay, I'll display this. I'll display this. What is this KNBK table? It's also transparent table. Customer master bank details. This table has got how many fields? Yes, it has got around what? 17 fields. It has got around 17 fields. So KNBK is a table given by SAP. It has got around 17 fields, right? What are the primary key fields here in this particular table? Primary key fields. There are two primary key fields. One is client number, another is what? KUNNR. In KNBK table, how many primary key fields are there? In KNBK, yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 fields. What are they? MANDT. Here also we have KNR, customer number, bank case. How can you say this is primary key? Because the column key is selected, na? So they are primary key. So we have 5 primary key fields here. Just for your understanding, I'll document here. So 17 fields are there. Yeah, what are the primary key fields in this? Yes, we have MANDT here, we have customer number here, we have bank S, we have bank L, and we have bank N. Okay, they are the what primary key fields in the table, so and so. Let me check how many records are there in this table, right? So in the KNBK table, I'll go to contents. As I told you, along with the table, SAP will provide some test data. Na? If I go to contents, number of entries, how many are there? 318 records are there. So let me put it here for understanding. 318 records are there. Okay, done. Now what is my requirement? I want to create a new customer. So what is the T code I have to use? XD01. So let me run the T code XD01. So being an ABAP consultant, I may not know how to use the T code XD01. So XD01 is related to what? Sales. Okay. So I have to take the help of SD consultant or some other functional consultant who knows how to use this particular T code. So I'll run the T code now. I'll run this transaction code XD01 because I want to create a new customer. Try to understand this. Just see just see how the transactions will work. I am running the T code XD01. Yeah, I got some initial screen. When I run the T code XD01, I got some initial screen. In this initial screen, it is asking different fields. It is showing different fields like account group, customer, company code, sales organization, distribution channel, division. I don't know all these things. Okay, all these things are related to what? Functional thing. Am I clear? So if I'm a SD consultant, if I'm a sales and distribution consultant, I know what is the meaning of sales organization. I know the meaning of distribution channel. I know the meaning of what? Division. I know the meaning of company code. Being an ABAP consultant, I need not worry about these things initially. But since I should know how to use this T code, I'll take the help of what? Functional consultant in the project to understand how to navigate between the screens of this particular transaction code. So here, account group is there. If you click on this drop down, it is showing me different values. I don't know which value we have to choose. I don't know why I have to choose also. Okay. So for testing purpose, if you are practicing in your systems also, choose sold to party R3 to CR. Forget about why I'm choosing that. We are not learning SG module here. We're just trying to understand how a T code works. So for practice purpose, choose the account group as what? R3 to CRM. Understood? Refer to the recording later on. Am I recording or not? Yeah. Okay. So I'll choose account group as what? R3 to CRM. I am not entering the data and other fields. I'll press enter key or I'll click on this continue button, green color. Understood? I can press enter key or I can click on this. Done. I got the next screen. Am I clear? So to come to the second screen, in the initial screen I gave account group. Na? Account group I have chosen RC. How do I know? I don't know. I have taken the help of what? Functional consultant. I gave that value. I am able to come to the second screen. My second screen contains different tabs here. Address tab, control data tab, payment transactions. If you have practiced, if you have remembered, in the initial classes, I told about selection screen tabbed block. A tabbed block is a collection of what? Tab buttons. Each tab button is associated with a subscreen. Okay, here also which tab is highlighted? Address tab is highlighted. One subscreen is displayed. So in this particular subscreen, there are some compulsory fields. You can see here, country is showing tick mark here. Tick mark indicates what? Compulsory field. Am I clear? So in the address tab, I'll give some name. I'll give the name as something Gens of Technologies. Okay, I'll say something customer one. Some name I'll give. Gensoft Technologies customer one. Actually, this is not a mandatory field, but I'm just providing it. Then country is there. I'll give the country. If I browse this, it is showing different countries which are configured in my SAP system. Okay, I'll choose appropriate country. I can choose whatever I want, but if I choose other countries, it may ask you for some other fields which we don't know. So I'll go for India. Done. So in the first screen, what I did, in the first screen, I entered account group as some value. I pressed enter. I got the second screen which contains a tab strip control, or we call it as tabbed block. In the address tab, a subscreen is shown. In that subscreen, I enter the data for some two fields. That's all. Okay. I will try to save it. I'm trying to save it. It is saving. Good. What is the message I got on the status bar? Account 0000301700 has been created. 301700. So this is a customer number which it has created automatically. How it is creating, on what basis it is creating, it is not our headache, it is creating. Okay. What is the customer number? 301700 has been created. So just for my understanding. So what is the customer number? 301700 is the customer which has created. So what I did here, I used a T code called as XD01 transaction. That transaction has got many screens. I visited only two screens. In each of the screen, I entered some data. At last, I clicked on the save button. It is saying that account has been created. So whatever the data I entered on this particular screens, that data should go and sit in some place. Na? So what is the T code I used? XD01 related to what? Customer creation. So related to customer, there are many tables available in my database. In my database, there are many tables available. What is the database in this case? Observe this carefully. If I choose system status, what is the database installed for this SAP software here? What is the database here? Oracle is a database. Am I clear? Oracle is a database. Am I clear? In your system, the database might be SQL Server, or in some other server, it may be MySQL. In some other server, it could be ANA database. So SAP is database independent. SAP is what? It's not database specific. It supports any kind of database. So here it is what? Oracle database. So what are the tables I'm talking about? Those tables are stored in what? Oracle database internally. Done. So in the XD01 T code, I created some customer by navigating some screens. In each of the screen, I entered some data. I saved it. Let me check in which table the data is stored. So I'll go to KN1 table, which is a base table for customer master. Right, in the KN1 table, if I go to contents, I'll see number of entries. How many are there? 19,606. Earlier, how many entries are there? 19,605. Now there is a change in one record. Na? So what are the customer I created? It is stored in which table? KN1 table. So in this KN1 table, we have seen there are two primary key fields. What page up? There are two primary key fields. What are the two primary key fields you have seen? MANDT and customer number. One of the field is KNR, which stores what? Customer number. What is the customer it has created? 301700. Let me check if it is available or not. I'll go to contents. How many records are there overall? 19,606. What is the customer number? What is the field? Kunnar only na? So I'll filter it. 301700. If I browse, it will show 19,000 records. I don't have patience to browse, so I'm directly know the customer number. I'm giving it. Click on what? Execute button. Yes. What is the client number? 800, because I created this customer in which client? 800 client. This is a customer number. What is the country I gave? India. Na? I got the land one as India. I gave some name. Na? Gensoft Technologies customer one. I didn't got other data. I didn't got other data because I have not captured. This KN1 table has got around 209 fields. Out of 209 fields, which are part of multiple screens, I entered data for some 2-3 fields which are part of only 2 screens. Okay, let me check whether the data is stored in KNBK table or not. KNBK also contains customer number field, na? But let me check whether the data is stored in this table or not. I'll go to contents, number of entries. How many are there? 318. Earlier also how many entries are there? 318 only. There is no change. Na? Why there is no change? Because while creating that customer, I have not captured any bank details related to that customer. This table stores the bank details of that customer. Na? That's why it is not showing that. It is not stored in this particular table. So if I go to KNBK table, what is the customer? 301700, right? When I execute, what happened here? No table entries found for the specified key. So what is the summary here? I used one standard transaction XD01. I entered some data. That data is coming and sitting in which field? Only KN1 table. Now once again I'll run the T code XD01. See the change here. You can ask me the question later on. First, let me do it. So I'll run the T code XD01 once again. XD01. I'll go inside. This is my initial screen. I need not understand what is this each field. We will not understand also. Don't try to understand. Right? Account group. I'll choose what? R3 to CRM. So when you are practicing in your machines also, you try to choose the same value. If I choose other values also, it may work, but it may have some dependency. It may expect data for other fields. That's the reason I'm choosing this. I'll go inside. I'll press enter. Done. I got the second screen. Address data is there. Good. I'll give some title. If you want to give title, I'll leave it. I'll give Mr. Okay. I'll give some name. Okay. I'll give some country. Okay. Search term. Okay, I'll give some information. Okay, I'll give some city here. Understood? Apart from mandatory fields, I am giving what? Some other fields. Okay, it is asking the region. Okay, understood? I'll give some region here. Okay, suppose Hyderabad, Telangana. Is it Telangana is not there? I can see, observe this. Telangana is not configured here. Telangana is not configured. Understood? So SAP has given these values by default. Now Telangana is a new state which is created in India. Okay, so that is not configured in the SAP system at this stage. So what happens? It is the responsibility of the functional consultant to configure a country code, a country key for what? Sorry, to configure the region, not country, to configure the region Telangana for the country what? India, so that the Telangana will appear in this particular list. It is the job of whom? Functional consultant. He will configure at some place. That is the job of SD consultant. I need not worry about that, but I'm just trying to tell you the roles and responsibilities. Am I clear? SAP software is installed, but here I gave the country as India, but there is no region with what? Tamil Nadu. So assume that you are implementing SAP for a customer who is having business in India. So he expects that Telangana also in this region. So it is a job of the functional consultant to configure that. So since it is not there, I'll go for something else. 01 Andhra Pradesh. Done. Clear? So what I'm trying to show is, in the first attempt, I entered only name, I entered only country. Now wantedly I'm giving data for other fields also. Done. I'll go to control data tab now. I'll go to control data tab, right? In the control data tab, I got another sub screen, right? Industry it is asking. I'll give some industry here. I'll give some industry. I'll choose something commercial. 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. That's all. I'll save it. I'm trying to save it. What happened? I got the message account 301701 has been created. So what is the new customer? 301701. Let me check that particular customer in the KN11 table. So if I go to this, if I remove this, number of entries, how many are, oh, sorry. Number of entries 19607. Earlier what? 19606. Now 19607. Let me check for that customer in the KN11 table. What is that? 301. How much? 701. 301 701. If I execute, yes, I got India, Sridhar Sungari. I gave some other values also, no? Right? City I gave region, I gave search term, like that. Okay. Let me show you the other country also, other customer which I created. I'll click on what? Multiple selection. I'll give other customer. What is that? 301 700. No? Execute. Execute. Yes, you can see they are the two customers which I created today. Okay. Now let me check whether this customer data is there in the other table KNBK. I'll go to this KNBK table. I'll go to this contents 301 701. Execute. It is saying what? No table entries found. If I click on number of entries, still what? 318 only. Na? So what I am trying to show is, since I have not captured any bank records for that customer, the data is not stored in that particular table KNBK. Let me create one more customer. I'll create one more customer. So I'll run the T code XD01. I'll run the T code XD01 once again. I'm running. Okay, I'll go inside. See the change. I'll give the account group as what? R3 to CRM. I'll go inside by pressing enter or click on the continue button. Done. Title, I'll give something. Okay, I'll give some name. Some name I'll give. Okay, I'll give country, India. Done. Now what I'll do, earlier what I did, I saved it. Na? Now for this customer, which are I'm trying to create now, I want to capture the bank data also. So I'll press enter. Observe this carefully. I'll press enter. How do I know that I have to press enter? Means we have to take the help of functional consultant. So I'll press enter. Nothing is happening. Huh? Okay. 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 Once again, I'll go to control data tab. I'll go to payment transactions. Yeah, observe here. In the address tab, I entered some data. In the earlier case, in the control data, I entered some industry. Now I'll come to what? Payment transactions. I'm having one table control. This we call it as table control. I'll give bank details. I'll give the country as something India. Okay, I'll give the bank key HDFC. I'll give the bank account number. Okay, I'll give another country India. I'll give another bank key ICICI. I'll give some account number, some value I'm giving. Okay, so how many bank records I'm capturing in the table control? Two bank records. Like this, I can capture a number of bank records. I'll save it. Okay, good. What happened here? 301702 has been created. Okay, 301702 has been created. Let me check the K11 table first. Obviously, it will be there in K11 table. I'll remove this here. Number of entries, okay, only one because I've entered here. Now I'll remove this also. Yeah, how many are there? 19,608. 19,608. Anyhow, it is inserted here. That is already we know. Let me check the other table K and BK. Okay, number of entries, how many are there? 320. Earlier how many are there? 318. Now I got what? 320 because I captured what? Two bank records. Na? So in the KNBK table also we have a field what? Kunnar. So I'll give what? 301702. Execute. Yes, two bank records for this customer. Two bank records, India HDFC, India ICICI, so on. So the overall summary is, there are many predefined transactions created by what? Provided by what? SAP. What are the data we capture in those transactions? That data will come and sit in what? Relevant tables. That data will come and sit in the relevant tables. Understood? So you'll have some transactions. Each transaction will have one or more screens. What are the data we capture? That data will come and sit in what? Relevant tables. Okay. Yeah, now if you have any questions so far, please ask me. So point you have to understand from today's session is, in SAP system, there are many predefined transactions given by SAP as well as some predefined tables given by SAP, right? Purpose of tables is what? To store the data permanently. How do you maintain the data in those standard tables given by SAP? Through the standard transactions given by SAP. So today I took these two tables. Okay, what is the relevant transaction? XD01. In the next session, I'll take some other tables. You'll have some T code. So what are the data I entered in that particular T code? Depending on the data I capture, that data will come and sit in what? One or more database tables. Like that, going forward, we will see how to create our own tables. We will see how to create our own transaction. So in the dictionary objects, in the next 1 week, we will see how to create our own database tables. Later on in the Core Abap only, when we come to module pool programming, we will see how to create our own transactions, which contains what? One or more screens. Yeah, any questions, please ask. Okay, so for today's session, what I'll do is observe this carefully. For the next 10 days or so, I'll be discussing the dictionary objects only. So you'll have a folder here, complete dictionary objects. This I cannot send it through email because the file size is vast. What I'll do is this complete folder, which includes the material of complete dictionary objects, I'll upload this in the Google Drive for downloading. I'll upload this material, complete dictionary objects material, in the Google Drive for download. Okay, you download it. Understood? So once I upload, I'll send a mail. I may not upload today only because we have not started with any this thing. I need to do some changes in this. So next week I'll upload. Once I upload, I'll send the mail, then you can download. So today what I'll do is I'll share only the recording part. Listen to that recording and try to practice this XD01 T code in your system and check this particular relevant tables, KNA1 table and KNVK table. Next class, that is on Monday, we'll see one more transaction code and we'll see some more standard tables, and then we'll see how to create our own tables, right? So I'm done for today's session. Any questions, please ask. No questions? Okay. So chalo then, we'll meet again on Monday. Chalo. Thank you everyone.